Kathy Wise and I'm an Intarsia artist. Intarsia is a form of woodworking with many types and colors of wood to form a picture. Intarsia can be very simple with a few pieces or very complex like my Jaguar Jungle with over 2,000 pieces and 25 different types of wood. I have written 2 Intarsia books with a third to be published soon and over 35 Intarsia articles for Scroll Saw Woodworking, Crafts and Magazine. My Intarsia art has won many awards, including first place in Intarsia and the People's Choice Award in the 2011 Design and Wood Show, San Diego, California. I have workshops in my studio where I demonstrate and teach the techniques and shortcuts of the art of Intarsia. Several of these techniques involve the use of hot stuff, CA glue. This is a wonderful product to use in creating your Intarsia. It will save time and help make your Intarsia pieces easier, faster, and better than you ever thought possible. The 2 products I use the most are the Hot Stuff Extra Gap Filling Glue in the green bottle and the Quick Accelerator in the aerosol spray can. Here is a red-tailed hawk bird piece that will be in my next book. I'm going to show you now how I use CA glue to make color breaks. A color break is where 2 or more different colors of wood meet and are glued together as one piece. They will be sanded as one unit and be permanently glued. You want to make sure your pieces are fitting together very good and there's no large gaps. You might have to do that by recutting or sanding the edges slightly to get them to fit nice and tight. I will use the oscillating sander in order to fix any small gaps. Now in this piece I have a section here that's a little close and I can see a gap here, and then on the edge I can see it's really close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand that close edge just a little with the oscillating sander. This will also make sure that all your cut is perfectly straight up and down. And I'm going to fit it back in and take a look. And I can see there I need to take off a little bit on the outside right there. I'm going to fit it again. It's a lot of patience going back and forth to fitting. Always mark the bottom so you don't flip a piece over and sand accidentally. Okay, that looks pretty good. I know I'll have to fix a little bit right here as I go to after I glue it, but that's something you do right after. Alright, so like that. Once you're sure you have a good tight fit, you want to spray accelerator on one side and then apply the CA glue to the other side, and you're going to be fairly generous because you want this to be a permanent fit. You're going to hold it very carefully on the wax paper and hold it in place, and it won't take very long and it'll be sealed right up. And then you want to do a little more accelerator. Try to spray the accelerator away from the CA glue, and then on your other piece apply generously again. And you want to have it flat and push it in place. Now when I do multiple pieces, I like to have the next piece lined up to this piece, and then that way you're sure that you're going to have a good fit. And once you get the second piece done, you can actually recut and resand this line in between to make sure that those 2 fit. So now that we have the one piece fit, I'm going to take it over to the sander and I'm going to have a level sand on the face of it. This is my big drum sander. I'm going to sand the face of the tail feather. Get a nice flat finish. Now that's all sanded as one piece. And you can see it's nice and flat and there's a nice color break. Now, as you can see, I have the two pieces that fit together really close, and I can check it by putting it on my pattern and then putting all the pieces back in place. You move from feather to feather until you get all the sections glued together, and then each section fitted to the section next to it, and then you will shape the more of the contour after you get your color breaks completed. But you can see how fast and easy that is to use the CA glue to make your three different colors appear as one piece and sand them as one piece. That is what I call a color break. Hot stuff CA glue can be used to glue risers to a piece of your project. Risers or shims are used to make a piece higher than the surrounding pieces without using thicker wood. On this hawk project, I want the shoulder wing section to be higher. This will give the piece more depth and make it more three-dimensional. Spray the back of your piece with accelerator and then place dots of wood glue on your riser. Then place dots of CA glue in between the wood glue. Press the two pieces together. The hot stuff acts as a clamp and allows the wood glue time overnight to fully cure. Together they give you a quick permanent bond that lets you move quickly to your next step in finishing your Intarsia project. Hot stuff CA glue can be used instead of a sanding shim. Take a piece of wax paper and on a flat surface, spray one side of your two pieces and then put two small dots at the bottom of your other piece. Put in place and press together. Now there will be one unit which you can shape, take off this high area, shape, and then put back in place. I'm going to go over and shape it. Now when I put it back in place, the two pieces are at the right level. I will take them and apply pressure and they'll break apart easily, and then I can mark the spot I want to sand. Take that over to the sander. Now I have them sanded at the correct level. I can put them back in place, and I didn't have to use all the extra time to make a sanding shim. If your pieces do not break apart easily, you can use some of the super solvent to loosen the joint, or as a last resort, cut them apart again using your scroll saw. Hot stuff CA glue can be used to pre-glue your project together. This will help keep all the pieces in place when you glue it to the backerboard. Start with your pattern taped to a flat surface with a piece of wax paper on top. Lay your finished project pieces on the wax paper. I like to use Hot Stuff Extra Gap Filling Glue. With the pieces in place on the pattern, I'll start gluing at the tail feathers. Glue about 2 to 3 pieces at a time. Apply enough glue to fill the gaps without leaking out between the pieces. Push the pieces back in place with all the surrounding pieces in place as well. Then press together and then let go and let set up for about a minute. Glue the next set of feathers in place. Being careful to keep the glue below the line. And again, put all your pieces back in place. On the pattern. Press together in place nice and tight. And then let set again for a few minutes. You can use accelerator, but you have to be very quick. It's a good way to start is just using the CA glue without the accelerator to start with. Then let it set up. You can move down to a bigger piece. Try to put the CA glue on the lower piece. It's important to keep the surrounding pieces in place as you glue. That way your pieces won't shift. Let's set up. I'm going to glue the leg section. And the tail section. Making sure it's all flat. Let it set. I glued the leg sections together, and now I'm going to glue them to the top body. Let them stay in place. Now I glued all the head sections together, and I want to put glue along this line here so that when I push this down in place, I won't bring glue up along the gap. So I'm going to carefully put glue all along the inside. And then I'm going to press down with everything in place, fit it nice and tight, and let it set up. Now the project is ready to take off the wax paper and take over to the flat sander to sand the back. This is my sand flea flatness sander. I'm going to sand the back so that we have a nice flat surface to glue with. In order to make the base fit tightly, I took the glued chicken and set it on top of my pattern pieces and traced the feet so that I'd have a nice tight fit. After I got done sanding, I will need to glue these pieces as we did the rest of the chicken in place. When you glue this chicken together, you want to glue the lowest pieces with the glue first. So I would pick this up and move it back, put glue on the smaller piece in the back, making sure you don't get too much glue on, put it in place, and then set the chicken back in place from top to bottom. That way the glue won't ride up on the inside. I'm going to do the same with this piece. Put the glue on the lower piece. I want to pick the chicken up and put it back in place on top. Then I'm going to hold those pieces together tightly, put the rest of my pieces in place, and then let that set up. Then I move on to the next piece. I can glue this piece in place and these two pieces. Remember, you always want to put your pieces back in place. Don't glue too many pieces at once. You want to have enough time to just put everything back in place and let it set up correctly. And let that set. Then you want to flat sand the bottom and then move on to your next step of gluing to your backerboard. You can use hot stuff CA glue with wood glue to attach your project to your backerboard. First, place your project face down on a soft rag on top of your work table. Make sure your backerboard is cut to the exact size. Spray the back of your backer board with accelerator. Place small dots of wood glue on every piece. You don't want to get too much in, it might ooze up through the cracks. But you want to get enough on that you're going to hold your project securely. Then put dots of hot stuff glue in between the wood glue. Carefully hold your backer board up above your project and then set in place, making sure that the backer board doesn't go past the edges. Press gently. Wait a few seconds for the CA glue to set, and then flip over and press firmly. This will squish any other glue around a little bit more and give you a nice fit. And just check to make sure all the corners and edges are all nice and sealed. And there you go, your project is finished. This saves a lot of time. You don't have to leave it clamped overnight. You don't have to worry about pieces shifting. And you're ready to move right on to the next step. I use hot stuff CA glue to permanently glue my inlay pieces. Here I've cut out a white spot and will fit it into my black piece of wood. I like to cut right in the line when I cut out the spot, and then I cut just outside of the line on the other piece. This way the two pieces will fit together with very little gap. I sand the edges of the white spot piece if needed to fit into the hole. When you have your pieces fitting tightly, simply put some hot stuff glue on your piece and insert in the hole. You push down with something hard and then let it set up. After the glue sets up, I'll take it over and I'll sand it on the flat sander. After you sand it, your piece will be nice and tight. If you have a gap, you can easily fix it with a bit of hot stuff, extra gap filling glue, and sawdust. I used a drum sander to gather the fine sawdust of the darker colored wood, wingay in this case. Put a few drops of the CA hot stuff glue. Mix in your sawdust. You want it sort of thick. And then fill in your crack. Try to get it nice and flat. And then let dry. You can use accelerator if you want to speed up the process. And then you'll take it over and sand it. I sanded the surface slightly, and you can see how the seam is almost invisible, the gap. Once I put a finish on this, you won't even be able to tell it's there.